So Kristi Noem just called a murdered ICU nurse a domestic terrorist, an American citizen, a VA hospital nurse who spent his career saving veterans' lives, shot multiple times while pinned to the ground by federal agents. And she looked into the camera and called him a terrorist. If this shooting is justified, then murder is state policy. Full stop. Because what happened to Alex Pretti could happen to any of us standing on the sidewalk. Let me walk you through what the administration is claiming versus what actually happened. Because the gap between their lies and reality is so massive, it's insulting. Kristi Noem stood at a podium and I said, and I quote, "This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism." That's the facts. That's the facts? Really? Here are the actual fucking facts. According to a witness statement filed in federal court, Alex Pretti was one of 3 people pepper sprayed by agents. He was trying to help a woman after agents shoved her to the ground. Then agents tackled him. The witness said it didn't look like he was trying to resist, just trying to help the woman up. And then, and this is directly from the witness, they threw him to the ground. 4 or 5 agents had him on the ground and they just started shooting him. But Noem wants you to believe he arrived at the scene, these are quotes, arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement. Those are her words. She said he reacted violently when agents tried to disarm him. She said an agent fired defensive shots because she was fearing for his life. Defensive shots while standing over a man pinned to the ground by 4 or 5 other agents. Multiple videos from bystanders show Pretti holding a phone, not a weapon of course, and in the moments before he was tackled. When reporters asked Noem directly whether Pretti ever brandished his gun before the encounter, she wouldn't answer. Neither would Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino. They just refused to answer. You know, why would you answer that question? Because the answer is no. And they know if they say it out loud, their entire narrative collapses. So who was Alex Pretti? Was he the dangerous domestic terrorist Kristi Noem described? He was a 37-year-old ICU nurse at the Minneapolis VA hospital, a United States citizen with no criminal record. He legally owned a firearm under Minnesota law, which, last time I checked, is a constitutional right in this country. His father told the Associated Press that Alex cared about people deeply and was upset about what ICE was doing in Minneapolis. He'd been going to protest after Renee Good was killed 2 weeks ago. A co-worker who'd known him since 2009 said, "There is no way on God's green earth that he would ever be going anywhere to hurt somebody. He would have had a complete personality transplant." Quote, "This is a guy who spent his career in intensive care, keeping people alive during their worst moments. He was literally at a dying veteran's bedside last month, leading the family and honoring the man's service." There's a video of that too. And now Kristi Noem is calling him a terrorist? Let me be clear about what's happening here. This administration is testing how much they can get away with. They shot Renee Good in her car 2 weeks ago. Federal officials claimed she ran over the agent. The video showed that was a lie. And now they have shot Alex Pretti while he was pinned to the ground by multiple agents, and they're calling him a terrorist. If these shootings are justified, then we've crossed into a territory where the government can execute citizens on the street and call it self-defense. That's not hyperbole. That's what Kristi Noem is defending right now. She said Pretti had 2 magazines with ammunition. Like that proves intent to commit violence. He was legally carrying in Minnesota. Millions of Americans carry firearms every day. That doesn't make them terrorists. But apparently, if you show up to a protest and you're legally armed, federal agents can just shoot you multiple times while you're on the ground, and the Secretary of Homeland Security will call you a domestic terrorist on national television. Here's what terrifies me about this. I could be Alex Pretti. You could be Alex Pretti. Any one of us who've been paying attention and showing up to protests could be next. Because the standard they're setting is, if you oppose what we're doing and you happen to be armed, or maybe not even armed, even legally, we can kill you and call it self-defense. This isn't law enforcement. This is state-sponsored violence with a PR strategy. And the PR strategy is falling apart in real time. A Minnesota judge just granted a temporary restraining order to prevent the Trump administration from destroying evidence related to the shooting. Think about that. Local prosecutors had to go to court to stop federal agents from destroying evidence of what they did. 6 prosecutors and an FBI agent involved in investigating Renee Good shooting have already resigned over concerns about the direction of the investigation. The feds are so desperate to control this narrative that they're seizing cell phones, detaining witnesses, and ordering Minnesota law enforcement to leave the crime scene. If they were confident in their version of events, they wouldn't be destroying evidence and silencing witnesses. They'd welcome the investigation, but they're not confident because they know what we all saw on the video. They shot a man who was helping someone up. They shot him while he was pinned to the ground. And now they're calling him a terrorist because he had the audacity to legally carry a firearm to a protest. Kristi Noem at the podium, he went to the podium and said, when you perpetuate violence against a government because of ideological reasons, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. You know what I call it when the government shoots unarmed citizens and lies about it? I call it tyranny. So here's what we do. We don't let them memory hold this. We don't let them get away with calling a murdered nurse a terrorist. We keep showing up. We keep filming. We keep demanding accountability. Call your representatives, demand an independent investigation, not one led by the same people who did the shooting. Demand that Kristi Noem resign or be fired. Demand that federal agents who execute citizens face criminal charges. And if you're in Minneapolis or anywhere ICE is operating like an occupying force, keep protesting, keep recording, keep standing up. Because the moment we accept that this is justified is the moment that we accept a government can murder us without consequence. Alex Pretti showed up to help someone, and they killed him for it. Don't let them tell you he was the threat. They are.